I've got a very small project for today. Under this focusing hood is a 12-inch monitor that I've had for about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years. There it is. This focusing hood is for professional photographers to block out all the light. I'll put a link to it on in the description of this video. I'm just going to jump in here, and this is that focusing hood again. I purchased it, you can see there, October the 10th of last year. Starting to try to get this stuff together. And it's a 4 foot by 5 foot, $56. But when I got it, God, it blocks the light. I mean, it's unbelievable. I've been outside without a cloud in the sky, and it does such a good job. Now, being standing in the middle of a field with a piece of cloth over my head, for somebody to walk up behind me and hit me in the back of the head's not very... That doesn't sound extremely good, but it just does such a good job. I'd love to buy another one if I could afford it, because it didn't really work on my tub as well as it did on my monitor. Works killer on that 12-inch monitor. I mean, the Velcro where it gathers here, it gathers around the back of that monitor such that there's no light comes in. It is crazy killer. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, we need to get that that monitor out of there. And I need to fix it so it'll run off of a battery. This monitor doesn't generally run off of a battery. It runs off of a cube power supply, what I call them. And that power supply has to plug in to that connector right there. So, and then I'll have what will be, it's not my first FPV monitor. I used them on the Rover. I used them on the Vandal little cars. I never have used a FPV monitor on a quad or an airplane, or goggles on a quad or an airplane. I've used the goggles on the cars too. Just up until cataract surgery last year, my eyes just weren't ready for it. My eyes are as good as they're ever going to be now, no matter what. So I've got to figure something out. And I've got some glasses on order that I'll show in the future that may be needed, in goggles and close up. But I'm also going to see an ophthalmologist soon too, to try to get that all settled. So this is the monitor, and if you look over here on the bench, this is the cube power supply that normally powers that monitor. I use that monitor on Raspberry Pis, and such. And it has this little connector that plugs in for the power. And you can read the polarity of that connector right here. And you can read on this that it puts out 12 volts. And that's for the little, I always mark my cube power supplies. I've got 1,000 of them in this house. Do you remember exactly which one goes with what product? I don't usually. So I was looking around. This is funny. An old electronics guy. I cut this open just a few minutes ago. It was sealed still. An old Radio Shack connector that just happens to be exactly what I need, for that monitor. And there's the shell for it. So this will let me connect a battery, and it will replace this for plugging into the monitor. Everything will be good. as long as I get the polarity right. So this connector will be soldered to those wires. This is a little power distribution board, BEC, from Ready Made RC. I'm going to put a XT60 connector on the solder pads on the outside here. And then I'm going to take 12 volts regulated right off of these wire connections right here. So this will be soldered to these wires, and we'll have a connector on the end for that monitor. And the pigtail will be soldered to the appropriate pads like that for input power from a 4S battery. You have to watch this particular board. This board will not develop 12 volts well from a 3S battery. I know it should, but it doesn't. So I'm going to have to use a 4S battery on that monitor. But I'll never have any problems with it, in my humble opinion. And this will keep it regulated, and the monitor won't suffer any damage. So I'm going to solder all that up. There's the positive soldered. I have to pull on it, see if I can break it. Not the connector, the connection, the solder connection. I just do exactly what they did to me in school. I pull on as hard as I can. Well, to the point of not breaking the connector itself. And there's the second one soldered in, the ground. And I'll wrap this around as a strain relief on the ground, but there's not one on the hot side, so such be life. That's the power pigtail soldered to the PCB board. It's a BEC PDB board, power distribution. I'm just using it for 12 volt regulation. I could have cut those a little shorter, couldn't I? Well, there you go. I just created a 12 volt power supply for battery operation of that monitor. And the biggest thing you're after here is make sure all your solder joints are nice and shiny. That's what they need to be. If they're dull, they're not good. So let's see if it works. There's a 4S battery. There's the power supply. Here's the monitor. Hey, look at that. It works. So there's my in-field solution for power for this monitor. That's ready for the field. There's the focusing hood on the monitor again. They do a great job of cutting the light. And here's the power supply for it to supply it, power it from a battery. Now this is just a portion of what's going on here. There's some other things here. And that is this big old creature here. You know, I've been telling you I need to get my flight camera working better. Well, when it's working, and here's the old, not old, this is actually newer than this pepper box I've had about 10 years. I used it on the Rover on 1.2 video, early days. But this was created after that, and this is that SkyDroid 5.8 receiver here that just doesn't work well. It's convenient though. But this, I think, is the first step in correcting my flight camera quality. You'll have to forgive my pointer. It's a yardstick. So I've had the pepper box, the 1.2 pepper box right here, the big part, for probably at least 8 years. Like I say, I use this on the Rover, the Ardu Rover, and then played with it with some other little things, but I never put 1.2 on a quad or an airplane until the past 2 years. I haven't flown them yet. So this is the 1.2 side. This is a notch filter for the interference with the 915. There's another notch filter right here on this receiver. This is me in post. I realized I didn't show you those notch filters that well. Just kind of pointed at them where you couldn't see them.
if you want to see what they are. I think these are probably TBS. I have some from Ready-Made RC. I've got some that go on the transmitter. It's just a little inline filter is all it is. This one's for the pepper box. Coax goes up and goes in down the side and in the bottom of the pepper box. And this one's just on the omnidirectional antenna. Sorry I didn't show those more closely in the main video.
Because there's two receivers here, one on an omni antenna and one on the pepper box. And they both go down to a diversity controller, Eagle Eyes diversity controller. Also, this little mini DVR right here is connected to whichever diversity controller you're using at the time to record video. That's all it's there for. Now there is, you probably can't see it well. Let me unplug this connector. Nope, still can't see it well. Okay, right here is a video transmitter. I'll show you, it's a 5.8 video transmitter. And what it's for is when I'm using 1.2 and 915, again, these notch filters, the one right there and the one right there, are supposed to notch out that interference. Whether they do or not, different people say different things about it, but the easiest way to keep the 1.2 and the 915 control radios from interfering with each other is to set this 1.2 receiver 20, 30, 50 feet away from where your RC radio is with the 915. It would work well without the notch filters in that case. And then retransmit the video 1.2 out of here, out of this unit as a relay station with this 5.8 video transmitter into 5.8 goggles, 5.8 whatever you have sitting 50 feet away where your 915 radio is. If those things are within 5, 10 feet of each other, they're going to have a problem. Notch filters cut down the problem. But the biggest way to do it is just to set this thing 50 feet away from where you're sitting and use it as a relay station, retransmit the data here. This is a little connector. Again, you usually aren't going to be retransmitting the 5.8 data coming out of here. I'll get to that in a second. So this generally stays plugged into this diversity controller such that the 1.2 side, diversified, can be retransmitted 5.8 as a relay station. And this is the power pigtail for the 1.2 side. It's got the power pigtail for plugging in the video transmitter should you want to use it as a relay station. If you're just plugging straight into the diversity controller here for video, into goggles, monitors, anything like that, then you don't have to hook up or even power up the small video transmitter. And again, you would also plug in the DVR into whichever side you are using so you can record video to this. This isn't great, but you'll see in the future it's better than one pair of goggles I have. So it is there for that purpose, just velcroed on there. Nice little mini DVR. This side is the 5.8 side. This is where I think my video immediately is going to get better. So the flight camera on the Camera is going to seem to get better miraculously instantly when I switch from this SkyDroid video receiver to these video receivers. Here's one on an omnidirectional Pagoda. Here's a second one on this little black pepper box right here next to it. They are going to a diversity controller. This is the power connector for the 5.8 side of this antenna setup. And that's pretty much the whole shooting match on the 5.8 side. I've got a little race day quads. I keep saying ready-made RC so much because I dealt with them for so many years. This right here is just a little ready-made RC frequency card that they send out with every order. I just hot glued it there for convenience of having it right there. The 1.2 side only has 2 frequencies. You're not going to be searching through 40 frequencies like you would on 5.8 to figure out what you want. It's either one or the other on the 1.2 side. Let's flip this over real quick. A few months back, I was handling this thing by this plastic cover on the pepper box, and it came off. I hot glued it back on. Upside down. Video aerial systems is upside down. So this is the 1.2 pepper box. This is the 5.8 pepper box, long range antennas, very directional. Up here's the Omni for both of those. And right here you can see the 5.8 video transmitter antenna that would be a relay of the 1.2 out goggles. That's it. And I'm pretty sure, like I say, I'm going to immediately see an improvement in my flight camera by using a better video receiver. This is exactly what I thought would happen. If you'll look at that screen, that's the SkyDroid receiver. This is the good video receivers on that 12-inch monitor. It is working. I can see I've got little problems with my OSD data that I had set up for that, but I can change them around for this monitor. That's the way it goes. But this is exactly what I thought would happen. You can see that the clarity of the floor joists and the plywood and the floor joist is sort of there. And this one you can see the grain. So I've been joking a little bit that my flight camera didn't work well, knowing it wasn't the flight camera. Not that the flight camera couldn't use some adjusting, but I knew it was the SkyDroid video receivers I've been using up front. So now I have this monitor for use in the field. I'm going to see if I can get that little DVR to record this and record both of these and put it side by side for you. The one on the left is the good video receivers, as I call them, and the one on the right is the SkyDroid. Now the SkyDroid is extremely convenient and seems to be 4x3, whereas the good receivers seem to be 16x9. So there's a lot of tweaking. My point is, I want to use something in the field for the first time. Let me show you the SkyDroid. So this is the little SkyDroid Pocket video 5.8 video receiver. It's $29. It's really convenient. It comes in this can. I've got 3 of them, maybe 4. I like to keep one in the truck. If I see somebody flying, I can jump out and hook it to my cell phone and go. That's it. And you can carry it in your pocket. When I go to the local drone races, I just pop it out, hook it to my phone, and start watching. That comes with 2 linear antennas. They work great for up close and stuff, like me sitting at the track watching the races. It comes with a USB-C to regular micro USB, because that's what the bottom of the little receiver takes, is your standard micro USB like that. It also comes with this other cable, which is a micro USB to micro USB, if that's what your cell phone uses, etc., etc. And it's just real easy to take it out, pop it in, and a normal micro USB cable hooks to it here on the bench, USB into a computer. That supplies it power. It starts receiving video through the USB. One connection. It's really, really, really convenient. But it's trying to be all things to all people. First of all, let's look at it here on the computer real quick.
Whoa, so here it is on Race Day Quad's site. I keep getting them and Ready Made RC mixed up. We bought from Ready Made RC since 2012. I still go to them as the first source usually. But the last year I've been buying a bulk of my stuff from Race Day Quads. I wish I could just get the name of those two places separated. This is it when it's in stock, if it's in stock. It says it's coming soon. I'll tell you why I say if it's in stock. $27.99. I saw it on another site for $19.99. Doesn't matter what it costs. It's pretty cheap. But you see, one of the first things they do is they say it's a 150 channel receiver. No, it's not. They say it's true diversity. I opened it up and looked at the circuit board. It is. It really is. There's another version of this that costs more than this one for some reason. It's a single receiver, but I've opened this up and looked at the circuit board. It's got one receiver on one side and another one on the other side. So it is true. And it's supposed to be a receiver module for smartphones. Now, you can see right here where it plugs into most smartphones. That's what it's intended for. I used it for other than intended. And like I say, if I'm driving by a park sometimes and I see a bunch of people out there flying quads and stuff, I might just look and pull in and see if anybody's got goggles or monitors up. And if they do, I'm probably just going to sit in the truck and throw this on my phone, stick the receiver out the window on top of the cab or something, and sit there and flip through channels, watching what they do. Just for fun, not hassling them or nothing, because I like it. Like I say, when I go to the local drone race, we've got a local drone track. Does pretty good in their league nationwide. And I usually do this. You can easily plug it into some goggles. But I can also use a normal USB cable on it and plug it into my ground control station, and I can plug it into my bench setup, and it's just real quick and easy and dirty to use. I don't have to go looking up what frequency is it on and what channel, what band is that, and what channel. All that's C8. My goodness, all that, and trying to get to those other receivers are going to be harder to work with than this one, because this one, if it isn't, the video isn't in view because it was used before you went to the field, you just hold down both buttons at the same time and it scans through its entire 150 channels. Total lie. They're not allowing for bandwidth. It really only works for the 40 channels. Five bands. Yeah. A, B, E, and F bands and race band, and 8 channels within those 5 bands is 40. You don't have to worry about what channel and band you're on with this. You just scan, it'll find it, and then you can use the buttons to go back and forth to tweak it. This is everything that comes with it. Again, like I told you. And that's the dealie. It's great for the price. Now right here in red, because people have a lot of trouble with this little piece of electronics. And a lot of people can't get them to work right. So they've got it in red now here, because I bet they've had a lot of trouble with lots of people. Please do all research as to your device's capabilities and what is required to be used to view the full feed sent from this device. Then it says VLC media player on Windows 10 11 works with minimal lag per our testing. The straight up camera on Windows 10 is what I've been using. I haven't worried about lag. I just want it to record for later viewing. It's a form of telemetry. So that's the little Sky Droid. Well, one of the reasons I'm trying to get away from it. 150 divided by 5 will tell you the bandwidth this thing really uses. And down here they've got some little videos and stuff. I think it's a 40 channel receiver myself, but neither here nor there. So I'm trying to kind of get away from it and get a little better things going on in the field for range, because I need those pepper boxes for range. No matter what antenna I use on this, it will be a range problem very soon. And I do have some other viewing apparatuses. Let me lay those out for you and get this all over with in one video.
Real quick first, this is the Sky Droid on my antenna tower I've been using in the field. This is just real easy to take. Forget all the rest of the telemetry radios and this 1.2 receiver on it. And just imagine it's one little Sky Droid receiver. It's on this pole. This is a tripod. That's all you have to take. It's real easy to transport. There was a time when I was putting double-sided tape on the back of the Sky Droid and just double-siding taping it to the outside of the tub on the back of the car for video reception. I wanted to get it up out and get a little longer range. So this is real convenient. Taking the big antenna system just to get the video out of those receivers into my ground control station would be more of a pain in the butt than this, but I think it's time for that because I want to get in some monitors and goggles and stuff. And then I keep this one with its little USB cable right here. Double-sided tape to the side of my computer, my bench setup. This is a 433, oops, that's a 915, isn't it? Yeah, this is a 915 telemetry radio that sits there the same way. There used to be a 433 right here and probably will come back, but we'll see. And it's just got a little short USB cable on it. And it just runs up top here and plugs in here when I want to use it. You hold down both buttons, it starts scanning through its 150 channels. It's not really 150 channels. Or you can, once you're stopped on a frequency, you can touch one or the other to move up and down in frequency. Real easy to use. This is my assortment of goggles. Well, that's not a goggle, is it? That's not either. Okay, fine. 3 goggles and 2 other monitors I have. This was the first one I ever bought. Bought this from Ready Made RC in about 2012, way back then. It's got a single receiver in it. It's got a little DVR in it here. And it's like a 40 channel. What is it, 40? It's a 5-inch little monitor. Now includes race band. Woo woo. So, that was the first thing I ever got. Got that up pretty quick. Couldn't use it worth a hoot. The poor little old monitor's just too small. I couldn't really see much in it. It didn't work well at all. It works, but it's just my eyesight. So then, about 2 or 3 years later, I bought the Sky Zone version 3s when they came out. True Diversity, True 3D. Used it on the Rover. I was roving around with the Rover 3D for a while. It was pretty cool. Just never put it on. Well, I put it on the flame wheel. I just never flew it on the flame wheel. But these are pretty good. I like these a lot. Like I say, it's the only pair I have that does 3D. And this is a little camera that came with the setup. There's a dual video transmitter connects to this too. Whoops. It's all junked out. All sorts of connectors and stuff where I've had it on other things. But this was the video transmitter for the Sky Zone. It's actually 2 video transmitters. So One camera and one video transmitter goes to one eye. The other camera and the other video transmitter goes to the other eye. So it's true 3D. None of that polarization type 3D or shutter glasses type 3D. So it really works good because it's just perfect 3D. Haven't flown it on any platform. It's still here for reasons. Then about, I don't know, this is probably 5-6 years ago, I bought the Cinemizers when they first came out. These are Carl Zeiss OLED. First ones that ever came out. These were not cheap, let me tell you. But this has HDMI input only. You can't use composite on them. And but they are just really sweet. The headphones are still in the box. These are sweet, sweet, sweet. And they so styling if you could use them as FPV goggles. And now that a lot of our high def stuff has HDMI out, these have come back into possibilities. But they work real good for laying in the bed at night watching movies. So when I did buy them, and because of the price of them at that time, I wanted them for more than FPV, and that's a little bit of how I justified it with the War Department here at the house, you see. When 2 years ago, when I decided to get back into this hobby, well, I bought a DJI drone and flew it around for a while just as something to fly. And that got me back into the hobby. 6 months or so after that, I saw the Cyclops on Hobby King and I bought them. Those are some of the best goggles I have. Those are some of the worst goggles I have. Because the picture in that is killer. The DVR in that hardly works. It's terrible when it does work. It's just, they were only like, I forget at the time, they were 29 or 69 bucks. They were real cheap. Those weren't. This was, that was kind of cheap at the time. This was pretty cheap. I bought this about 4 months ago when my wife got a new computer and wanted to try to put a secondary monitor on her computer because both of us are used to multiple monitors on our computers for years. This one actually works off of its own built-in battery on a tripod. It doesn't have any kind of DVR in it or anything, as I remember it, but it is a monitor of a size. It's a 7-inch, I think. It is a monitor of a size that fits on a tripod and is completely, basically enclosed except for the cable out to the video receiver. Yep, because this doesn't have a video receiver and it's just a monitor. So I haven't even played with this with the car yet. It's only been in the house here about, we'll say 6 months at most. But it's a pretty good solution too. But then when Pam was looking for secondary monitors on her new notebook, first thing we tried was that 12-inch monitor that I really prefer over this one, especially with the focusing hood over it. So there's either several things for me to try here and work with, or I can fly it with the big monitor and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people can go along on the joyride. So I just never have gotten, my cataracts were too bad. My cataracts were bad 12 or 15 years ago. It took 12 or 15 years for them to finally operate on them. So in 2012, when I started all this, I'd already been diagnosed 4 or 5 years with bad cataracts. They just wouldn't get worse because I started taking care of them. Might have been diabetes. They don't know. They don't know why it took so long for them to get bad enough to fix. So that never worked because it was too small. And this works well after a fashion, but didn't in my eyesight the way it was. These work great, but I don't want to break them in the field. Don't tell my wife. I like like them for movies. They work good. This works really good, except for you don't get DVR. You can't really let somebody see what you saw while you fly with that. It's wonderful, but it's a piece of junk in the DVR area. It's a wonderful in the monitor area, and it would let me work with glasses that I used to have. I need to go back. We're getting towards the year mark after the cataract surgery. I think in March. I can't remember. Not certainly to the end of the complications that I had during cataract surgery, but I need to finally find out if I'm going to wear glasses that are bifocals with a clear part for normal vision and bifocals, or if I'm going to pick up reading glasses when I need to see something up close. If I'm going to have, and I just haven't checked this out with an eye specialist of any kind yet, because I've just been a little sour on the whole cataract surgery and the months and months of complications after it. Don't really love my vision the way it is now. It is good without glasses, but there's still problems. I think I do have to have glasses and goggles, which means these are going to work fine. The two monitors are going to work fine. The cinemizers or the Sky Zones, probably not. Which means I would have to get another set of goggles, a final set of goggles. Ones that I can get prescription lenses for, so that I can put them on and be as if I've got perfect vision in one of these kind of goggles, these three right here. So that's still in my future. But you can see here, I've got a plethora of things that have been tangents in the past that are all starting to come together because I've finished up airplanes, except for actually flying them. And I did kind of get sidetracked with a little drone, so I have something to fly when it snows and stuff. Wish it would snow. I like snow videos. They're pretty cool. But when I start mating all the airplanes behind me, I'm at the point of using all of this stuff for the first time ever. And the Chimera is the first one of my verticals that's ever really had a video transmitter on it that could transmit back to the ground, for me to be able to start that for the first time in my FPV career. I did years of line of sight flying because it was so much fun. I don't regret it at all. I'm a patient person. I don't need to do anything quickly. So that's kind of a view of all the changes that's coming to my ground station and all the stuff that's just really coalescing right now for me. I love it. I really do. The downside of that is pretty soon I'm not going to have too much to talk about on videos. It's just going to be made in another airplane today. Here's the video from that. I guess there'll be a crash video every now and then. I wish it would be that there weren't, but I have a sneaking suspicion, since there's been so many already, that there's going to be a crash video in the future. But other than that, I don't really plan to do how-to videos or anything like that. This has all just been my journey. Again, so when I'm passed on in the next 10 or 20 years, whoever inherits all this stuff, and I know several people want it, will know what to do with it. They can follow my videos, watch my videos, and pretty much, because it's hard to dig this stuff out while you're in the hobby, to give them these videos and stuff so they don't have to go through the same pains the rest of us do, I think it's a gift. In addition to all my RC stuff, which is kind of substantial, really. And my electronic stuff, hell, 55 years of working in the industry. Got some pretty good stuff around here. That's some junk too. All right, guys. I just let this get as long as it wanted to this time because, again, I'm sadly thinking it's going to kind of get quiet around here. I'll still help people when they ask for help as much as I always can, but, I don't know that I'll ever do my Part 107 so that I can make money. So I'm ready to be retired. All right, guys, I'm going to close this up. It's raining here, of course. All my fields are muddy. I've got the Camaro ready to go, in my humble opinion. I've got a couple of test flights to do with it, and then it'll be 100% airworthy, and I'm going to revert back to the airplanes. And then I will be mostly working with the airplanes and flying the Camaro every now and then and sharing its flights, but the major push will revert back to the airplanes, which is the third phase of my RDO pilot journey that started 10 years ago or more, that I hope to put a nice little red bow on in 2023. I think I'm well positioned for that. Thank you, and thank you for all the help and support you've been to me. It's really, really much appreciated.